Today, on The Report, a 16-year-old shot after ringing the wrong doorbell and a secret Chinese police station found in New York City.
Also, Fox News' settlement in the Dominion defamation case, as well as Karen Bass's work towards rebuilding the LAPD.
Plus, the settlement from LA teachers after the LAUSD strike, and the heated debate following Anthony Bass's social media post calling out United Airlines. The Report starts now. Welcome back. I'm Shelby Martin.
Good to see you. I'm Noah Sakadas.
And I'm Elmira Darmanian. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at The Report CSUF or on our Titan TV Instagram, Titan TV CSUF, to keep in touch with us and view our new content.
The suspect involved in the Kansas City, Missouri shooting of a young teenager has been charged with assault in the first degree and armed criminal action. On the night of Thursday, April 13th, 16-year-old Ralph Yarl mistook 84-year-old Andrew Lester's home for the pickup location of his 11-year-old brother. Yarl rang the doorbell and waited on the porch before Lester opened his door and shot the teen twice, striking him in the forehead and upper right arm. In a statement to the police, Lester claimed he was, quote, scared to death by Yarl's size, worried for his inability to protect himself at his age, and believing Yarl was there to attempt a break-in. Yarl suffered a traumatic brain injury as a result of the attack and has since been released from the hospital. 2 days after the Yarl shooting, 20-year-old Kaylin Gillis was fatally shot by 65-year-old Kevin Monahan in the rural town of Hebron in New York. Similar to Yarl's case, Gillis had been traveling with several others in the search for a friend's home when the group mistakenly pulled into the wrong driveway, being met with gunshots from the homeowner as they began to turn their car around. Monahan has since been taken into custody and under arrest on a charge of second-degree murder.
2 U.S. citizens have been arrested in connection to the alleged establishment of a secret police station for the Chinese government. 61-year-old Lu Jin Wang and 59-year-old Chen Jinping appeared in court after an arrest that is considered the first of its kind. Both men were arrested for their involvement in running an office in New York dedicated to assisting the Chinese government in locating pro-democracy activists of Chinese dissent as well as critics of the Chinese Communist Party. The U.S. Justice Department claims both Jin Wang and Jinping were acting under the direction and control of a Chinese government official. According to the Chinese government, the centers abroad serve the purpose of helping to renew the driver's licenses of Chinese citizens. The arrests come after the U.S. Justice Department also announced charges against 34 officers from the National Police of the People's Republic of China. The officers are believed to have utilized social media to promote the Chinese government in a favorable light, while also harassing Chinese nationals living in the U.S. who expressed their criticism toward Chinese Communist Party. In a statement, David Newman has claimed, quote, the efforts of the PRC to export authoritarian methods to stifle free expression, in the United States is a threat to America's democracy that we will not abide.
Fox News avoided one of the highest-profile defamation trials in history against Dominion voting systems by reaching a settlement with Dominion of $787.5 million. Dominion accused Fox News of smearing its reputation in the 2 weeks after the 2020 election. This settlement has become one of the largest financial settlements in a defamation case. The case was settled the same day that the trial began in the Delaware Supreme Court. Dominion was previously sought to receive $1.6 billion in damages, while stating that the conservative news network caused monetary damage by creating falsehoods about Dominion. The agreement was announced after a 12-person perjury, and 12 alternates were chosen in the court's meeting session. After a long 90-minute lunch break that extended further to 3 hours, the Delaware Superior Court Judge Eric Davis returned to the bench and announced, the parties have resolved their case.
The LAPD is currently experiencing an extreme shortage with more officers leaving the force than ever before. Mayor Karen Bass has announced her plan to combat this issue. Bass's nearly $13 million reform budget includes various proposals to solve issues within the city of LA, such as homelessness and public safety. However, a more controversial topic within Bass's budget is the call to increase the city's officers to a total of 9,500, which may seem ambitious considering the current cuts. The call to rebuild the LAPD has resulted in pushback from groups such as LA Defensa, which advocates for alternatives to policing in prison. The LAPD is expected to lose 600 officers in the coming year due to retirements and resignations, requiring them to hire 1,000 officers to reach Bass's target over the next fiscal year. While the LAPD is struggling to recruit further officers, Councilmember Naithia Rahman thinks the LAPD has the ability to transform its force.
A few weeks following the massive LAUSD strike, the teachers' union reached a labor agreement providing a 21% wage increase over 3 years. With the district facing issues in recruiting staff, this new package will also include a $20,000 salary bump for nurses and $3,000 for school psychologists, psychiatric social workers, attendance counselors, and other special services providers, who are all represented by the United Teachers Los Angeles Union. Superintendent Alberto Carvalho said, quote, "This agreement with UTLA is a necessary step not only to make Los Angeles unified, the district of choice for families, but also the district of choice for teachers and employees," end of quote. The union, who represents about 35,000 individuals, credits its participation and role in the 3-day joint strike last month. Besides the wage increase, the deal also includes a reduction in class sizes. Although this is a win for the union, they're still calling for more reduced class sizes. The agreement still must be ratified by the United Teacher of Los Angeles Bargaining Union members and the Los Angeles Unified Board of Education.
Earlier this week, Toronto Blue Jays pitcher Anthony Bass sparked some controversy on Twitter regarding United Airlines. Bass stated in a United Airlines flight attendant who had made his 22-week pregnant wife get on her hands and knees to pick up the popcorn mess created by her youngest daughter. At the moment, Bass's wife, Sydney Ray Bass, had been traveling with her 5-year-old and 2-year-old kids. Contrary to the responses he intended to receive, Bass has accumulated high response rates to his tweet, backing up the flight attendant and mostly stating that as parents, they should clean up after their own kids. Bass indicated that in a previous tweet that his wife, Sydney, was traveling alone with the kids. In a response, one Twitter user stated, quote, "Pregnant women can bend. They may not want to, but the solution to that would be to not give your child popcorn on a plane," end quote. Bass responded, claiming it was United that provided the popcorn, not his wife, and that the cleaning crew should be in charge of cleaning it up. Sydney's sister and country music singer Jessie James Decker also came to her defense, stating that the flight attendant humiliated her pregnant sister while mid-air after saying that the spilled popcorn was a safety hazard. Bass confirmed that United Airlines is taking care of the matters with the flight attendant internally and made light of the situation by posting a photo of his daughter Blair smiling while holding a bag of Skinny Pop popcorn. So, what do you guys think about our first story, the 2 shootings?
I honestly think it is very disturbing because as an adult, when you open the door and you see a 16-year-old child standing in front of you, taking a gun is the first thought that you have. Because I understand people want to protect themselves and all that stuff, and I understand how 16-year-olds look these days. Like sometimes they're bigger than me, and obviously you can, as an old person, you can get scared. But it's just like so, it doesn't make sense in my head.
Well, what's interesting too is that he said that he thought that the child, the teenager, was breaking in. And when you think about it, if someone was going to break in, why would they ring on your doorbell?
Yeah.
He rang on the doorbell
First
and stood there.
And then he knocked on the door, rang the doorbell, and it was just standing there.
Well, the truth of the matter is that there has been a record number of break-ins happening across the country this year especially, and a lot of people are scared for their lives and for their safety. People are clearly taking precaution into their own hands. In 2020, for example, the Defund the Police movement took a lot of funds away from law enforcement, some of which has still dragged into 2023, and the societal stigma of police being ineffective in protecting homes and property has forced a lot of rural Americans to really clearly reconsider their options in the terms of home defense, and we're clearly seeing these effects taking place.
But I'm thinking, do people actually look after the statistics? Like, oh, this year has been a lot of, like...
Well, maybe not in the cities because,
you know what I mean?
They have, yeah, but in rural populations, definitely. These people are very concerned about this kind of thing.
Yeah. So, okay, Missouri has a stand your ground law, and whereas New York City does not.
Right.
Are these laws like applicable to the situations that we have?
I think it's up to the individual states, to be honest. There are other larger problems, I think, that need handling, especially in the large metropolitan cities, in New York, Chicago, LA. But there is in those cities genuine fears of home invasion. Not to justify any of the violence that's taken place or to say that anyone was right in this sense.
Yeah, but the only thing that like hurts me the most, those are kids.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at
And there's like the first one is so lucky to like survive and be in the hospital.
right.
And it was not supposed to go through this, first of all. Like it was not supposed to happen. I don't think he looked like he was attacking or he looked like he was breaking in when he knocked on the door, rang the doorbell, was just standing on the porch, and all of a sudden you decide to take the gun. I don't like judging and blaming people, but in this specific situation, I just don't know what else to say.
I mean, the 20-year-old female, too. I
Yeah.
mean, when you look at a 20-year-old female, typically they don't look very threatening.
I'm a 20-year-old female, but I'm a different case. So, I mean, it's just, I have no words. I just think that there's supposed to be justice, first of all, and second of all, I'm just wishing all the families and fast recovery for the boy.
Yes.
What about the secret Chinese police station found? What do you think? I'm thinking the first thing that came to my mind when I was reading the script and reading the story was we already have so many like interaction with Chinese. TikTok, Chinese spy balloon. What else? Now it's the secret police station. I think the secret police station is one of the most serious things that happened.
Well,
because like TikTok and spy balloons are like, will U.S. take action or what do you think?
Action is already being taken on a federal level to limit Chinese influence over the United States, but I believe more needs to be done with the Biden administration because this is really getting serious.
Yeah, this is getting kind of out of hand. Because like secret police station to renew the driver's license of those people, and also how do you? We were talking about because it affects the democracy you have in your own country, like domestically.
Right. Absolutely.
Because they are trying to promote their own political campaigns, and it's probably working for some people because they have like promoting it using social media too, which is like an easy way to promote something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
your own platform.
It's interesting too because obviously the media has taken a lot of time to, sort of fearmonger and do all these things. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, we don't fully have like 100% knowledge of what their plans are. We don't know 100%. And it's interesting because when you think of when you look at all the articles, it doesn't even seem real. It seems so exaggerated. But I guess it's happening.
What's absolutely terrifying, too, is that there's most likely more Chinese secret police spy nets happening throughout major cities with large Chinese communities. I mean, this kind of thing has happened in the past, and it's going to continue to happen, I believe, especially in kind of subjugating Chinese and Taiwanese nationals happening in the UK as well as in Paris. There was a network that was discovered a few months ago. The Biden family in particular in the past has accepted large amounts of foreign currency from Chinese corporations in relation to business deals, which if you know how their government works, the state and the business are kind of one. It's nationalized over there. Yeah. It's a nationalized economy. I would not be surprised right now if Joe Biden, who is currently the most powerful man in the world, would be turning a blind eye to some of these Chinese.
Well, another thing that interests me too is how will the American public take this information? Will this spark some sort of change in the way that people treat, Asian communities and Chinese communities in the United States? How will they treat, immigrants and things like that? Will this create some sort of sentiment again? Is this going to just be another repeat of history where people use fear and that kind of thing against certain groups?
It's really scary. I think we really need to be concerned and mindful of our communities and keep an eye out for one another.
What I'm saying about, sorry, I cut you off. You said about the treatment of Asian communities and just people, immigrants and all that stuff. I think that honestly, me living as a person, like I'm not fully Russian, so me living back at home, US is probably one of the most tolerable countries. Like, I hope there will be no hate spread like during COVID-19. They've already like went through the wave of hatred, but I'm just saying, like, I hope that this will be okay. And moving on to the next story, Fox News defamation settlement. Do you think that Fox News, their reputation was damaged in any sort of way after this?
I mean, I think any sort of defamation, any sort of major lawsuit, things like that, it's going to knock the credibility a little bit of a news organization, of a media organization, because media outlets, their number one duty is to the public. In the Code of Ethics for Journalism, the Journalistic Code of Ethics, one of the first key points is that journalists are loyal to the public. And in order to show their loyalty to the public, not only do they have to be loyal to their news stations, but they have to, be honest and represent their organization in a way that makes them look credible.
Yeah, obviously. And both parties in this case have their own kind of evidence. But what do you think specifically Dominion, if I'm saying it right? Dominion. Settled?
Well, I generally just believe that the current state of journalism has been on a steady decline over the past 5-10 years. And I think it's just been an offshoot of kind of the environment, the political environment that's been created from the 2016 election and after that. I believe that the settlement itself, it's not going to better the image of Fox News or of any of the major networks right now. Absolutely.
It's going to further the distrust between the general public and the news organizations and the media outlets. I mean, when you look at the Edelman Trust Barometer, we learn about this in media ethics classes and journalism classes. The Edelman Trust Barometer provides statistics for each year on what organizations and what institutions people trust the most. So far, people are losing trust. Statistically, it shows in these surveys that the general public is losing trust in media organizations, government, politicians, especially the two major, media giants in America, CNN and Fox, because they're so opinionated, they're so, very, very set in certain ways, and it influences, the news that comes out.
I agree. I think that this is true. But moving on to the next story, current best to reform LAPD. This was your story, right?
Right.
So is this too ambitious and unattainable, or can the LAPD just reach their recruitment goal? Because I think that they can. Honestly, if there will be, I currently don't know about the benefits that they have right now. If there will be more benefits to the position, or more people who would love to be in power or kind of be in control, let's say, do you think that this will be possible to recruit more people? I think it's possible.
It's going to be very difficult.
It is.
And for the city of Los Angeles especially, because most people there don't like cops.
Yeah.
They don't respect them. They don't want anything to do with them. And they believe social workers can do a better job. Teens especially, some teens who would show an interest in a career in law enforcement are discouraged from doing so because of the negative stigma of police brutality in the media and current LA culture too.
So the first step to take to recruit more people is definitely change the people's image of the police. Because if we make a specific, not like we make, it's just three of us, a specific image and change the people's opinion about the police, maybe if they start acting in the correct way, in a sense of actually doing something good, because I think that they are doing something that is better for the community, but it's just not shown. Every time we have a news story, if there is a news story about a police, they've done something bad, or they were not enough in control, or they did, if we maybe as a media can help to enrich the image of LAPD and kind of that will help recruit more people, I think there's possible.
As someone who has taken quite a few public relations courses. I mean, I'm not an expert by any means, but hypothetically, if the LAPD focused on what they do to help citizens, because LA is such a, it's a crime-ridden area, it's a poverty-ridden area, it has a lot of internal issues. And if the police, were to highlight the work that they can do to help, with inequality in these communities, that kind of thing, helping, serve people, and that might, help protect their image a little bit more. Or if, they focus on the fact that they're, changing the way that things are run. If they're focused on diversity and equity and inclusion, within the force, and they, sort of advertise that and put that at the face and at the forefront of their, of their mission in the next coming years, then maybe in turn people might be more willing.
The point is, how do you do a complete 180 with a city that had been completely against police force several years ago? The Los Angeles was one of the leading cities that was for police reform and possibly like dissolvement of the police force.
Well, if it took several years for people to start hating the police, it will take several years to change their opinion. So I think we just have to, not us specifically, we have to work on that and just see what happens. What about the LAUSD state settlement? Do you think smaller class sizes are beneficial? Well, from my opinion, they are.
Absolutely.
Because the teachers, sometimes I'll go to class and I'll see the amount of paperwork that professors have. Sometimes like working with Canvas makes it a little bit easier. But just making class sizes smaller will also, like, there will be a need to recruit more people.
Right. Well, this is specifically geared towards public K through 12 schools in Los Angeles. And Los Angeles is an incredibly overpopulated area. And two, even in America, public school systems need to follow this model because we have a problem in our country right now where teachers are leaving the profession in droves. You see it online all the time. Teachers are literally quitting on the spot in front of their students and just walking out. They're done. I mean, for years, they've been protesting and, trying to fight for better wages and smaller class sizes. And now, post-pandemic, it's been even harder for these teachers to manage a classroom because students are not equipped to learn anymore. And that's one of the major issues. And it's only heightened this and really brought this to the attention of the media.
Yeah.
When you think about how all these kids, they spent all this time online and now they're coming to class, their behavior is different. Their behavior is different now. They're not able to function normally in a regular classroom, and that makes it even harder for teachers to handle.
I personally believe that smaller classes are not attainable without more teachers. And as you said earlier, Los Angeles is a very heavily populated area. When I was going through elementary school, my class was 32 students. So I think you can't have a small class in a large overpopulated city when you have, several thousand students going through it per year.
It's a work in progress, I mean, the way to incentivize teachers to get, to stay in the profession, the way to incentivize people to become teachers is to push smaller class sizes because, obviously it's going to have to work over time. But when you start shortening the class sizes, more teachers might be more willing to come to the profession.
I would also say there is another benefit to being to having a smaller class size because you have more control over the students in a sense of maybe for me personally, when I was in a class where we had 35 people back at home, it was very hard to concentrate because you have so many people around you and you have to look at stare at the teacher, listen to what she says. But when the class is smaller, it is so much easier to obtain information.
Right.
So when you said after COVID, we had an issue with people coming back from their laptops to the real life, kind of from virtual world to the real one, I think that this will also help kind of fix the outcomes of the COVID.
I mean, Noah does bring up a valid point, though, that it might take some time. It will definitely take some time.
Everything will take some time. Every single point that we've said in this story, not only this one, but every single story will take time.
It's a tricky situation.
What about the United Airlines? Sorry. I don't even want to I was trying to look into this situation, but I was like, we have wars going on.
Yeah,
and
how
we're
is
talking
this
about
relevant?
popcorn on the airplane.
Just purely getting into the incident itself, I'm personally on the support of Anthony Bass and it was his sister or was his wife?
It was his wife.
It was his wife.
His pregnant
because,
wife.
Look, this is United Airlines. They paid for tickets to be on this aircraft. If they made a mess, it should be the responsibility of the stewardesses to clean up after that mess. And it's popcorn. It's not an obstruction or a danger to the flight. It can be a danger, though. Well, I've worked in the service industry myself before, not on airlines, but it's not that big of a deal. I think this airline stewardess was making a bigger deal out of it, making a guest clean up after their own mess when it's their responsibility to clean up after an airplane after every landing.
Well, I think it's funny that United Airlines is talking about a safety hazard from popcorn when, if I remember correctly, 2017, they dragged an old man off of the plane. That's more of a safety hazard. You're physically harming somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never heard about this story, but what I can say, traveling with kids is messy, and it will always be messy. And when you're traveling with a 2-year-old, a 5-year-old, and you're pregnant, it's a mess. They're yelling, they're screaming, and honestly, when my mom used to travel with all my brothers and my sisters, the only issue that we had not to disturb people around us, because it is so annoying when you have thousands of kids on the plane just yelling and screaming and popcorn all over the place. And it's just I paid for the tickets to have a comfortable flight. You know what I mean?
Right.
That is also an issue, I think.
Well, it's just.
But there's no way to fix it. And I think flight attendant, as a human being, not as a flight attendant, you see a pregnant woman with 2 kids, they're already making a mess. Help them.
Yeah.
I agree. No,
You know what I mean?
that's the same point.
Just help
exactly.
them.
Yeah. No.
And I think that people, you were trying to say something?
No, I was just, I agree.
Oh, okay.
I agree.
Yeah, I was also trying to add the fact that, what I was trying to say, that when you have experience with kids, you understand how hard and messy it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, they should also expect that children will be on the flight.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's your job. Like, you've chosen a position where you're going to be in service, you know? Suck it up, clean up the popcorn. That's why I'm on the side of Anthony Bass and like the family, the pregnant mother. Like, I'm sorry, it's just it's a bit ridiculous that there's just the heated Twitter conversation when we have so many other heated events happening around the world, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's life. Well, that's all we have time for today. Have a great week, everyone.
And stay tuned for more news, views, and info.
We'll see you next time on The Report.